Here's the thing, I can't remember iOS 14. You know, the operating system that ran on iPhones until about 20 minutes ago, it is gone from my head. That is how good iOS 15 and iPadOS 15 are. After the kind of initial delight, and there is actually delight in using this stuff, you quite quickly start thinking, well, this is how things should always have been. And then remarkably quickly, you start thinking, that's how they always were. It's not all good, to be fair, but really, I mean, where there are poor bits, it's mostly that some of the things we've been told about, some things we've been promised are not quite here yet, as I record this, you'll see. Both iOS 15 and iPadOS 15 are free updates. If you're watching this then, as it first goes out in 2021, well then, maybe you could give it a week or two. Just, let everybody else find any problems if there are them, and let Apple fix any problems for them. But otherwise, you must. You are going to upgrade to iOS 15 and iPadOS 15. But here's why. Hello, I'm William Gallagher and this is 58 Keys, which as ever, as always, is for writers like you and me who write on Macs and iPhones and iPads. I might occasionally get a bit carried away and into new devices and things like that. But the aim of all of this, of 50 Ks, is to be of use to you and me as writers. So please do subscribe so that we can keep on talking and, put off actually writing. Look, today's not going to be terribly serious. Today I really want us both to be distracted away from writing with some free new toys, except everything I want to talk to you about is something that either I am already using as a writer or as a freelancer running a writing business, or the absolute very least that I can see, you will so easily see, is going to help us with stories, with research, with just with finding our way to meetings and things. First up, let's take a minute to talk about what's new on both iOS 15 for the iPhone and iPadOS 15 for the iPad together. Then we'll take a sec to go through what's unique to the new iPhone and new iPad operating systems. Focus mode on both iOS 15 and iPadOS 15. Actually, also on macOS Monterey, on watchOS 8, on Apple Watch. Is that it? I think that's everything. It's everywhere. Focus mode, it's not the flashiest new thing. It's not even close to being the flashiest new thing we've got, but it is transformative. For example, this week, between about 6 a.m. and 8 a.m, I'm working on a script that I'm actually finding incredibly difficult. I've been really hard. And okay, I don't get a lot of phone calls at that time in the morning, but with focus mode turned on, I don't get any. I don't get any phone calls, I don't get any messages, any emails, any notifications at all. It's just all shoved away while I need to concentrate. Unless I get an email or a message or something from a couple of producers or an editor that I'm working with, or my wife, for example. They can get through, the rest of the world, no. Later in the day, typically this week, I'm booked on Apple Insider, and obviously when I'm working for them, well, they need to be able to interrupt me, but no one else can. If I were in a building with Apple Insider people, well, then I could have it so that as I walk into the building, this focus mode switches on and cuts out the rest of the world, and then lifts when I leave without me doing anything. This is do not disturb, really, isn't it, with some twiddly bits, but they are actually some really good twiddly bits. Once you've set it up, then automatically, by time, location, or by tapping a button on one of your devices, focus mode will shut out the world. It will keep out everything and everyone except who you decide. And it's on everything, without you doing anything. Turning on focus mode on your Mac does it on your iPhone, on your iPad, on your Apple Watch, straight away, all of it. Choose a focus mode on any device and choose it for them all at the same time. You cannot believe how much this is helping me concentrate and actually giving me time to play with the flashy bit. I used to work on Radio Times magazine, the UK's equivalent of TV Guide, if you know, one or the other. And I can't remember why now, it was a long time ago, but there was something I had to do regularly that had a lot to do with the Radio Times covers. And actually, after I left, I did come back and work on a covers book, which I've got to say is the most gorgeous book I have ever worked on. I mean, it's just utterly beautiful, great thing. But whatever it was I needed to do most of those weeks, my Photos app still has hundreds of covers of Radio Times, and now I can do this with any of them. I can swipe my finger across any of the text on the cover or any other page if I've got that and copy it and then paste it into an email or anything I like. Any text, any photograph, any photo you have ever taken, and actually photos you haven't taken that nobody has taken, because you can do this with the live view from the camera. So go somewhere, just point this at some research you want to do, swipe to select text, copy it, don't even bother taking the shot. Frankly, I would take the shot just as a backup. There you go. This is actually across the iPhone, the Mac and the iPad, but it's iPhone, isn't it? This is a toy for the iPhone. You just relish how that is going to help you in your research. And I'm going to lament how many thousands of hours of copy typing I used to have to do. That's a flashy bit. Let me go back to a second for an officially dull addition to iOS 15 and iPadOS 15. I think actually Apple's own website has one of those asterisks and a footnote that says dull, but supremely useful. When you haven't used your iPhone or your iPad or whatever for a while, and you know, it can happen, I suppose, or actually you've got into focus mode, you do then miss notifications, you miss messages, emails, news alerts, anything like that. Whatever you have decided in focus mode isn't worth interrupting you now, you miss. But you do want to know about them. So with iPadOS and 15 and iOS 15, there is notification summary. This, it kind of just fills you in, summarizes everything, fills you in on what you missed that you care about. You do have to turn it on. But then when you do, at times of day that you have chosen, and as often as you choose, you get a notification list of everything you've missed, or everything you've missed that you think, everything you're fussed about really, you'll be summarised in this neat little list. You can control what is summarised, you can control when you get the summary and how often you get these summaries. Go to Settings, Notifications, Scheduled Summary, knock yourself out. So on the flashy, not flashy side, Apple Notes did get an enormously useful, I mean exceptional, I mean changes how I work feature. But this isn't it. This is something else. Wait just a second until we're talking about what's only on iPadOS, what's just on the iPad, not on the iPhone. Okay, that's in a second. For now, this is in both, and actually it's also on the Mac, tags and smart folders. So you're writing a note in Apple Notes. Take a second when you're done to think about later on, when you want to find this piece of research again, what is it that you will actually search for? Then type the hash key, write a word or a closed up phrase, just like you might on Twitter. Hit the space bar and you've got a tag. Any tag you like, any number of tags you like. You can go crazy. You can go too far. But to help you then organize things as well as being searchable, alongside that comes smart folders in Apple Notes. Say you have a tag you use quite often called hashtag urgent, or you work for the Acme cartoon company, hashtag Acme. You can create a smart folder in Apple Notes which automatically gathers together any note that has Acme or urgent or only both. And it's so handy. It's so handy, but it's not actually enough, I think, to make you swap two Apple Notes from any of the other 11 billion note-taking apps out there. No, you'll swap because of this thing coming in a minute. Just to prolong the drama a little bit, try to keep you from the thing I think is so good in Apple Notes. Anyway, one quick last thing that is on both iOS 15 and iPadOS 15, and again, it's actually on my Mac as well. Hide my email. You've done this, you've been in this position, you've come to a website, and before you can actually, get in, look around and decide whether it's what you need, they make you sign up for something. Okay. Now, with Hide My Email, you can come up with you can give them a kind of semi-fake email address. It's fake in that it isn't your real email address, but it isn't fake in the sense that it doesn't work. When that site then sends you that verification email, it goes into your regular mail inbox and you reply and everything's fine. But if that site then turns out to be spammers or just doesn't interest you, you can switch off that email address and never hear from them again. It's actually quite restful in a weird way. Now, There is more. There is actually much more. There are oodles of new and useful little bits and big bits across iOS 15 and iPadOS 15. Maps, for instance. I plan to have a very good time exploring Apple Maps with the new AR walking directions especially. Oh, and it's infinitely greater detail in certain areas. But neither of those features are everywhere yet, and neither of them are where I am. Not yet. I want them. There should actually be this too, and I really don't know why I haven't got it yet. The ability to identify plants and animals and locations. Maybe I just don't get out enough because I've yet to see any of those either. I did have it identify people in that particular way in the shop, and that's nice. So, based on what we've got now, on to one iPhone-only feature and then two iPad-only-ish features, both of which I love to a quite unreasonable degree. Am I just getting older and checking the weather more or something? The newly redesigned weather app on iOS 15 just for iPhone is tremendous. I've been a user of Dark Sky app for years, even though it's brilliant. Rain stopping in 6 minutes, light drizzle starting again in 17 minutes. It was never as accurate here in the UK as it was in the States, but it was still pretty good. And I actually thought it was accurate enough that when Apple bought Dark Sky, I thought that was very bad news. I mean, Apple bought it and they announced they were going to shut it down. And I did think that was very bad news. And now I'm afraid I don't care so much. Because all of the good things in Dark Sky are now in Apple's own weather app. And I think they're done better. They're just so very well done. I still don't understand, though, why there isn't a weather app on the iPad as well as the iPhone. Now, two things that are pretty much on the iPad and not so much on the iPhone. Yeah, kind of a bit more complicated than that. Anyway, starting with definitely only on the iPad and the Mac, Quick Notes. This is what will get you to use Apple Notes if you don't already. Quick Notes. Look, Apple announced this, right? Apple showed it in a demo. It's not like it's hard to understand, so I got it. You will get it if you don't know it already. But it wasn't until I wrote an article about it that I really appreciated how great Quick Notes are. Actually, no, tell you a lie. It was a few moments after I delivered that article. I went from writing this article, doing this stuff, and then switch gears, I had to do some research for the Writers Guild. And I was doing something and I needed to make a note. I had to put something down very quickly. I had to just jot something down. Quick Notes. Whatever you are doing on your iPad or on your Mac, but significantly not on your iPhone, you can swipe up or drag from the bottom right corner and start making a note. And then push it away when you're done. Now, I mean, so far, so very good. Whatever app you're using though, or whatever website you were looking at when you did this, you can drag up that note, write in it, push it away, and the next time you come back to that app or to that website, whatever it is, when you open that up on the iPad and the Mac, it will show you, it will offer you that same note back to you. It meant with that Writers Guild example that I could very quickly do what I had to do that evening, jot down those notes, those first initial notes, and then come back fresh the next morning to add to the note, seeing that I was building up to this one long quick note with everything I needed for the Guild. With Quick Notes in iPadOS 15, effectively every app you ever use now has a note-taking feature. Every app, and always. Go into that app and the notes are there. New ones, old ones, they're always there. Or go into Apple Notes itself. There's now a new Quick Notes folder and the note is there too. So it's not like you have to remember which app did I write which note in. It's there when you open the app. It's there in Apple Notes, whichever way you want. It is such a small thing, so well done. Better on the iPad than on the Mac, by the way, more consistently good on the iPad, but utterly great. Last thing that I say is effectively on the iPad only. Tab groups in Safari. It is on the iPhone, but it's so much better on the iPad. I don't really tend to use it on the iPhone. The iPad one is actually, it's exactly the same as the new Mac one has it as well, and it's so good. I should say, I suppose, Safari in iOS 15 and iPad, Safari and everything new has been getting becoming a bit of a touchy subject. Apple radically redesigned how tabs work, and it kind of walked back some of that. Then after a while, it walked back a bit more of that, and it's not back to the design of Safari in iOS 14 and iPadOS 14 and macOS Big Sur. But it's back. I'm still, as I record this, I'm still on the beta release of all of these, and some of those design changes have been turned into options, but I don't yet know whether Apple will decide that the default for those options will be on or off. So maybe we will look at tabs themselves another time, or more likely I'll just dodge the issue and hope you're not that fussed either. But what you and I must talk about is a kind of related change that is never going to be walked back because it's that good. It was immediately that good. So not tabs in the Safari browser, but tab groups in the Safari browser. Seriously, changed how I worked over the last couple of months. Here's Safari when I'm working on 58 keys, actually, when I'm getting ready to talk to you. And okay, that's every tab I always use, plus a few that I happen to have opened up last time for something or other, who knows. But then here's Safari when I want to just check out social media. And again, that's every tab I use. But as you can see, a completely different set. And now I'm working on my business. My business is called Dark Ride. I'm doing invoices, for example. Well, here's Safari with every tab I use, every time for that, and the odd one that I happened to open last time. You set this up, but you can then switch between each of these groups as you need. It is like bionic bookmarking, except all of the tabs are always open. You're just not seeing them until you need them. They don't refresh either until you go in and look, but they're there waiting for you. I think you can see how that could be useful. I mean, you get it, but actually use it, actually do it, and this will happen. You realize you stop opening new tabs. I mean, you're not completely, but the day-to-day, minute-to-minute stuff you go through, it turns out there's only a limited number of tabs. There's sites that we go to a lot, and well, they're all there. They're all already open and waiting for you. And whichever tab group I'm in now, my head is concentrating on that. So, tab groups and focus mode, they are such a great fit. They genuinely help you get more done. So, live text, focus mode, quick notes. There's all the map stuff that's coming, or might be where you are, coming everywhere eventually. And this actually, quick thing right now, this isn't new at all, but it's done better. You can finally see how to use it. On an iPad, tap on the three dots that are now on any open window, and you can move that window into split view and slide over. You can arrange multiple apps to work together. And like I say, hardly new, been there for years, but now just those three dots, just that control that appears, it's so much more obvious. You will use it more. I do use it more. I mean, it used to be that you either didn't know about it or you kind of stumbled into it. I think you see why I'm so enthusiastic about all of this. And when you've used any of it, when you go back to whatever, iOS 14 and iPad 14, you'll wonder how you got by on such an old system. Isn't that crazy? That's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Thank you very much for watching, and thanks once again to the UK's Arts Council for all their help over the last few months. Now, take care of yourself, eh? Don't let playing with iOS 15 delay your writing much, and I'll see you soon.